Right, well, our chief correspondent, Carvey Solokul, has hot-footed it into the studio for more on this, and this has escalated really quickly, hasn't it? Where did this all start to go wrong for Amorim?
Look, I think the bottom line is Manchester United are a very difficult club to manage, and Ruben Amorim felt that he was not the manager. He felt that he was being treated as the head coach, and I know his job title is the head coach, but when he took the job, he was given assurances that he would have a big say, he would be the one in charge. So I think his feeling is that there's been a power struggle behind the scenes. His relationship with the director of football, Jason Wilcox, has had its ups and downs. There have been some disagreements behind the scenes about their strategy during this transfer window. So this has been bubbling away for quite a while. And we know that Ruben Amorim is somebody who is very honest, can be quite emotional, says what he thinks in news conferences. And we have had hints that this was coming. And I think from his perspective, this has not come out of the blue. He is not surprised. He knew the writing was on the wall, but he feels that he has done a pretty good job overall. And if he'd kept his job, and if United had been willing to back him, he was very, very bullish that United would have finished in the Champions League places at the end of this season.
We've got a poll asking whether this is the right decision. It's split about 50-50 at the moment, and I think the timing is a big thing here, isn't it? Because if you look at the table, United are 3 points off fourth. They've got a great opportunity here to come in the top four. Top five could be enough easily to be in the Champions League, and yet they're changing manager at this crucial point. Is it a risky time to do this?
Absolutely. I think Ruben Amorim feels that if he'd been allowed to sign one or two experienced players this month, and once the players who were away at AFCON had come back, then United would have had a very good chance of finishing in the top 5 places. And fifth will probably be good enough to get you in the Champions League this season. So he feels that progress was being made. It's a big, big risk to get rid of Ruben Amorim. Also, you're going to have to pay him off. We know how much it has cost Manchester United to pay off managers in the past. And if you look at the recent history of Manchester United since Sir Alex Ferguson left, you can make a very, very good argument that they should have stuck with every single manager that they actually ended up sacking. David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Okay, Erik ten Hag, I think that one is debatable because of his record in the transfer market. But you could say all these managers, if they had been given more time, United would be in a better position than they're in at the moment. I have some sympathy with Ruben Amorim because Manchester United, not only are they one of the biggest clubs in the world, they're up there with the profile of a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, but they're different from those clubs because of the ownership structure. You've got the Glazer family who basically own the club. You've got some of the shares who traded on the New York Stock Exchange. You've got Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe who only own 30% of the club but are actually running the club. Then you've got the fact that so many people have been laid off, there have been so many redundancies, cutbacks, and you've got new people in running the club who don't have much of a link with Manchester United. And then you've got Ruben Amorim and his coaching team who are trying to run the team and the football side, first team as well. So it's a very, very difficult job. Ruben Amorim saw this coming, and I think in a way Ruben Amorim has been the author of his own misfortune, because I think if he'd just kept quiet and hadn't been so honest and hadn't given quite so much away in news conferences, then maybe he would still have his job. But who knows? Maybe he didn't want the job anymore. Maybe he thought, as you could see from his performance in the news conference yesterday, it felt like he was a man who'd had enough. He was basically saying to the hierarchy at Manchester United, back me or sack me because I've had enough of this. And he was basically saying, I'm only going to be here for a maximum another 18 months anyway, and I'm not going to quit. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do. And they have responded at the first opportunity, the earliest opportunity this morning, by saying to him, thank you very much, see you later.
Yeah, it's not backing, it's sacking is basically what they've done. You mentioned the way Manchester United is run there. Does Ineos's decision-making need to come under serious scrutiny again after this? Because they've made mistakes in the past, high-profile mistakes. This was their big decision, and it's ended like this. At a time when no one was really expecting it. They could have done this before.
They appointed Ruben Amorim knowing that he plays with three at the back. They knew what they were getting into. They knew that the way he plays goes against Manchester United's traditions. Dan Ashworth, for instance, somebody who was not in favour of Ruben Amorim being appointed, he ended up losing his job at Manchester United, in part over the decision to appoint Ruben Amorim. So, yes, Ineos have made big mistakes. I am now thinking of an interview that Jim Ratcliffe gave recently. And I remember being here on set with you, talking about it, when Jim Ratcliffe was having a go at the media. He was having a go at journalists. He was saying, we are going to back Ruben Amorim. We are not going to... I'm sorry here if I don't recall his exact words, but basically what he was saying is, I'm not going to listen to the opinions of journalists and columnists, any old journalist who go off on one every day. We're going to back our managers. I took issue with what he said then, because the reporters who cover Manchester United are some of the best reporters in the business. They know the club inside out. And for him to say what he said, I thought was a little bit strange.
Tell you what, you don't need to paraphrase there, because we have that grab from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, which was in October, and he said this about Ruben Amorim.
We have to be patient, and we have a long-term plan. It isn't a light switch, and you can't run a club like Manchester United on knee-jerk reactions to some journalist who goes off on one. I mean, I would say Ruben, he needs to demonstrate that he's a great coach over 3 years.
So you give him 3 years?
Yeah, that's where I would be. Yeah, 3 years, because football's not overnight.
No, and as you say, the Alex Ferguson example is exactly that, isn't it?
And you look at Arteta at Arsenal. He had a miserable time for the first couple of years.
He's a great coach over 3 years. Need to give him time. Did Ratcliffe and Ineos look very silly now after that?
Oh, well, that's not for me to say, but that interview was in October, so that was 3 months ago. So Ruben Amorim didn't get 3 years, he got 3 months. Now, I think from United's point of view, what I would say is we're seeing a pattern here of these head coaches coming in and wanting to get more power than modern football clubs are willing to give them. We've seen it with Chelsea and Enzo Maresca as well. What these head coaches have to realise, from a club's point of view, is that they are part of a team behind the team. Gone are the days when you're going to have a manager who's in charge of everything. Unless you're Pep Guardiola, you're not going to get that kind of control. And even he doesn't have total control at Manchester City. I think Mikel Arteta has got himself more and more power because he's been so successful and looks like he's going to win the title
as well, doesn't he?
Emery as well. I think I was reading someone call Aston Villa Unai Emery FC. He's got himself a lot of power as well. But by and large, the modern head coach is the head coach. You've got to get on with the sporting directors, the recruitment team, the medical team, the performance team, the data and analyst team. Those relationships have got to be working well. And if you get into a situation where those relationships are fracturing, then you're going to end up with the situation that we've got now at Manchester United and the situation we had at Chelsea. The difference between United and Chelsea is that Enzo Maresca decided that he had had enough. He wasn't actually sacked, he stepped down. Although that's all being sorted out by lawyers now. But in this situation, it's Manchester United who've decided, look, enough is enough. We cannot have our head coach saying the kind of things that he has been saying in the media and at press conferences over the last couple of days.
I just want to finish this chat by talking about Bruno Fernandes, because he's turned down opportunities to leave the club in the past. Is there a danger now he might have a change of heart?
That is a very good question. A very good question. Bruno Fernandes is somebody who's very, very close to Ruben Amorim. Many people believe that if it wasn't for Ruben Amorim, Bruno Fernandes would have left Manchester United last summer. Bruno Fernandes himself has come out in an interview in Portugal a couple of weeks ago and said that he felt that Manchester United were happy, would have been happy for him to leave in the summer. And he felt that he was a bit hurt by that. Ruben Amorim said to him, I want you to stay. You have to stay. You are a very, very important player for me. Even though he's been injured recently, Ruben Amorim has been talking about the fact that he's always on the training ground, helping out, observing training. So if I was a United supporter, I would be worried about the long-term future of Bruno Fernandes. I'm not sitting here and saying they're going to sell him this January, he's going to go to Saudi Arabia. Not at all. I'm not saying that. But everybody knows what his contractual situation is. Everybody knows about the interest from clubs, not just in Saudi Arabia, but across Europe as well. And everybody knows how close he was to Ruben Amorim. So very interesting to see what kind of response, if any, we get from Bruno Fernandes on social media today.
But we start with tension at Manchester United, where Ruben Amorim intimated he'll be leaving when his contract runs out in 18 months. Amorim's comments came after his side drew 1-1 at Leeds, where he also said he joined the club to be their manager, not their head coach, despite his job title being head coach. Well, here is what he had to say.
I noticed that you receive selective information about everything. I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach of Manchester United. And that is clear. I know that my name is not Tuchel, is not Conte, is not Mourinho, but I'm the manager of Manchester United. And it's going to be like this for 18 months, or when the board decided to change. So that was my point. I want to finish with that. I'm not going to quit. I will do my job until other guy is coming here to replace me. I just want to say that I'm going to be the manager of this team, not just the coach. And I was really clear on that. And that is going to finish in 18 months. And then everyone is going to move on. That was the deal. That is my job, not to be a coach. If people cannot handle the Gary Nevilles and the criticisms of everything, we need to change the club. No, guys, I just want to say that I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach. And every department, the scouting department, the sport director needs to do their job. I will do mine for 18 months and then we move on.
So, strong words from Amorim there, and we can join our reporter Dan Khan now for more on this story. Dan, you were there today at Ellen Road. Is it fair to say there's tension in the air at the club this evening?
Yeah, good evening, James. I mean, it was an explosive news conference to be in after what almost seemed a bit of a positive result for Manchester United at Ellen Road, getting away there with a 1-1 draw. But as we understand it this evening, we can report that there is growing tension between the Manchester United boss, Ruben Amorim, and the hierarchy at Manchester United, including Director of Football Jason Wilcox. Now, we can talk about their strategy around the transfer window in January in a little bit, but there is a wider disagreement, as we understand, about the team's tactical approach going forward. Now, we know Amorim has been bullish about deploying his 3-4-3 formation this season. We saw him tweak it a little bit against Newcastle and Bournemouth in recent games, but that is understood to be the root of an increasingly strained relationship between Amorim and the hierarchy above him. Now, this has been built up for a few weeks, James. I have to say, being in those news conferences, you could track it back all the way to Christmas Eve when he spoke ahead of Newcastle, talking about how he now understands that he won't be able to play his perfect 3-4-3. He won't be able to get the money or the players for it. So he understands now he'll have to adapt. But there's been other comments. His mood shifted completely on Friday ahead of this game against Leeds as well. And now it seems like we are understanding now the reasons why, and his relationships with those like Jason Wilcox above him, all around the strategy of this team going forward, are clearly not on the same page. And perhaps we're seeing that in the results as well.
And at the same time, the January transfer window is open. So are Amram's hopes for it anywhere near aligned to what United's club's plans are?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think you have two different perspectives. I think Ruben Amorim, of course, wants his team, like many managers in January, will want his club to spend money this month. If you're Ruben Amorim, you're looking at the table and saying, look, we're sixth, we're, really on track for European football, but we're also just a few points away from Champions League football. So, of course, he wants the board to spend. We also see that they were interested in the likes of Antoine Semenyo. So the question could be, why not use that money put aside for him for other targets? But from the United perspective, from the board perspective, they don't want to make mistakes from recent history, from previous regimes where they maybe panic buy, they overspend and put the club in a precarious position. James, we know, having covered transfers, and of course we're on these transfer shows, Manchester United's target this year is, their main priority is to strengthen their midfield. They don't want to jeopardise that target. And I think that is their message to them, head coach Ruben Amorim, that nothing can jeopardise that. He will get players back in the next fortnight, the likes of Amad Diallo, Brian Mbeumo, in terms of creative players. He also spoke about Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount potentially coming back this week as well. So he will get the much needed firepower back in the next fortnight, and he might just have to continue to do so. But look, we'll have to wait and see, because this is a huge development this evening, and also from his post-match comments after that 1-1 draw with Leeds United this afternoon.
Leandro Trossard proved to be the perfect antidote to Arsenal's attacking frustrations following Mikel Arteta's candid remarks about Victor Gyökeres. Gyökeres may have struggled to truly impress since his summer arrival at Arsenal, but over the weekend, there was finally a glimpse of what he is capable of. More importantly, Trossard showed exactly why he could be the key to unlocking the Swedish striker's full potential during Arsenal's hard-fought 2-1 victory over Wolves at the Emirates Stadium. The 31-year-old winger injected fresh energy into Mikel Arteta's side on Saturday night and helped breathe new life into the Gunners' attack. Shortly after replacing Gabriel Martinelli in the second half, Arsenal found the breakthrough. While Trossard did not directly contribute to either the opening goal or the dramatic stoppage time winner, his influence on the game was undeniable. Trossard took control of proceedings, dictating the tempo and pulling the strings down the left flank. Time and again, he dismantled Wolves' compact defensive setup, releasing Miles Lewis-Skelly into space, picking out Declan Rice on the edge of the box, and crucially, feeding Gyökeres with intelligent, well-timed passes. Operating as a creative hub, the Belgian showcased his playmaking qualities, delivering sharp, purposeful distribution. His introduction completely shifted the momentum of the match, and for the first time in weeks, Arsenal's $64 million striker briefly looked like a genuine threat. Before Trossard's arrival, Gyökeres endured a frustrating and ineffective outing in attack. In fact, the Belgian was the only player to carve out a clear-cut opportunity for the 27-year-old forward, slipping a simple yet incisive ball in behind the Wolves' backline. Gyökeres controlled the pass, beat his defender, and aimed for the far post. Wolves goalkeeper Sam Johnstone was beaten, but the Swedish striker saw his effort agonizingly drift just wide. If Arteta truly wants to get the best out of Gyökeres, then granting Trossard a more prominent role in the starting 11th could be the solution. Speaking to TNT Sports after the win, the Arsenal manager openly addressed the challenges facing his marquee signing. "It's a collaboration between the two," Arteta explained. "He was in some really good positions, but the ball didn't arrive quickly enough, accurately enough, or with the precision a number 9 needs to score." But his commitment and intention were there, and we have to keep pushing. Arteta was equally vocal in defending Gyökeres prior to the match, urging patience with the striker's adaptation to English football. There was huge expectation because we were signing a proven goal scorer, probably with the best statistics in Europe, Arteta said. But he's coming into a different league, the most demanding league in the world. What happens if he doesn't score in 5 or 6 games? That was the only question I asked him. How are you going to react if you don't score in 5 or 6 matches? Can you handle that? And what about the next 100 games? That's what people need to see. The sample size is still very small, so leave him alone. Let him do what he does best. Support him, and I'm convinced things will come good. That message from Arteta resonated beyond the Emirates. In the days following the Wolves' victory, the debate around Gyökeres intensified among pundits, supporters, and former players. While some questioned whether Arsenal's record signing is truly suited to the Premier League's pace and physicality, others pointed to the structural issues around him rather than the striker himself. Much of the post-match analysis focused on Arsenal's chance creation and balance in the final third. The Wolves game highlighted a recurring theme this season. Gyökeres often makes the right movements, but the service into dangerous areas has been inconsistent. When Trossard entered the match, that problem briefly disappeared. Arsenal suddenly looked more fluid, more unpredictable, and far better equipped to supply a traditional number 9. Former players speaking on television and radio were quick to note the contrast. With Trossard drifting inside and linking play, Arsenal's attacking shape became more compact, allowing Gyökeres to stay higher up the pitch and occupy central defenders. That, in turn, created space for midfield runners like Rice and Ødegaard to arrive late in the box. It was a glimpse of an attacking formula that Arsenal have rarely sustained this season. The reaction from supporters has been equally divided. While frustration with Gyökeres' goal return remains, there is growing appreciation for his work rate, physical presence, and willingness to press from the front. Many fans now see Trossard as the missing connector, the player who can translate Gyökeres' movement into genuine scoring opportunities. Internally, Arteta faces an important decision. Persisting with a front line that isolates Gyökeres risks damaging the striker's confidence, especially with tougher fixtures on the horizon. At the same time, promoting Trossard to a regular starting role could mean reshuffling wide positions and reducing Martinelli's minutes. A bold call that would not come without consequences. Yet football at the highest level often comes down to chemistry rather than reputation. The Wolves match suggested that Arsenal's most expensive signing may not need drastic changes to his own game, but rather the right supporting cast around him. If Arteta embraces that idea, Gyökeres' slow start could soon be remembered as nothing more than a difficult adjustment period. For now, the pressure remains. Goals will ultimately define Gyökeres' Arsenal career, and patience in North London is never unlimited. But with Trossard offering clarity, creativity, and calm in possession, Arsenal may finally have found the key to unlocking their striker and turning promise into consistent production.